Hey, I'm out here with Keone, and he is an American living out here in Thailand. So thank you so much for meeting today, and thank you so much for this coffee right here.
No problem.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, so you're actually, you used to be a traditional Hawaiian tattoo artist in America, right?
Yes, I lived in Hawaii all my life, and I was very fortunate to have been taught by my teacher, Su'asulape Paulo, the traditional method. I was also fortunate to have a lot of elders that would teach me other aspects of the Hawaiian culture, including tattooing, which included design elements, genealogies, protocols, and things of that nature, all of which went into traditional tattooing.
Yeah, and as you can see right here, not on his face, but you can see how beautiful his tattoos are right there. So how long does a tattoo like that take?
Well, my leg I did over a course of 4 days, but I did it back to back, you know. But that was my entire leg. Typically, in the right hands, it's quicker and less painful than a machine. So it all depends. It depends on the designs. It depends on how the person reacts and all of that kind of stuff. So I still, technically I still practice tattooing. Unfortunately, with the situation as it is now, I haven't done so in a while.
Is it true that if you drink alcohol and get a tattoo, you'll actually bleed more?
Yes,
Oh.
because alcohol actually thins the blood, and also, and to be real honest, if you're hitting blood, that might be that you're going a little bit too deep. But what you do is you hit capillaries that have some blood, you hit at times anyway, and mainly you get like plasma, and that plasma is affected in the same way as blood is with alcohol. So yeah, it's not a good idea to drink and get tattooed. Even the night before, I tell people not to drink for 3 days before they get work done.
Oh, that's interesting. And how long have you been living out in Thailand for?
I've actually been living here since August. I arrived here August 21st, and been living over here since then. Of course, 2 weeks in quarantine, and after that, you know, come straight to Sakeo, where we have our property at in Koklan.
Oh, and the quarantine, that's the ASQ, right?
Yes.
And that's a 2-week quarantine in a hotel?
Yes.
And was that pretty brutal?
No, it actually wasn't. At least not for me, because we got to go out every other day and spend some time outdoors. It actually got me time to catch up things that I needed to do anyway. And when we came out in August, the unfortunate thing was actually there were only like about a dozen ASQs, hotels available. And out of that dozen, I think about 4 or 5 of them were outside of Bangkok. So you were limited to a number of hotels that you could get here and stay in. So it wasn't like now. I think you have much more selection. And so we had to take the first available hotel that confirmed the reservation. Unfortunately, they didn't have double occupancy available. So my wife had to go to the regular state quarantine, which was fine, but you know, I didn't get to see her for 2 weeks.
But you could still communicate through messaging and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, of course.
So when was the first time that you came out to Thailand?
That was probably about 7, 8 years ago. I came out here, and I was always wanting to come out to see the temples and things like that. I never thought that I would live here, I'll be honest with you. But there were so many similarities as far as tradition was concerned, as far as respect for elders, respect for sacred places. that really intrigued me. And so I came back several times. I met my wife, and I met her family. We all got along. It was real interesting because life in the country is real different than life in the city, and the people over there are a lot different too. They reminded me of the people I grew up with when I was a child, and so that was really eye-opening for me. So that's, some of the basic elements, like you don't clean up at night, you're not supposed to cut hair at night and all that kind of stuff.
Don't shave at night.
Yeah, exactly. All of those things were the same type of things that I grew up with in Hawaii.
Oh.
And so there was that similarity, that comfort zone that really made it so that I felt very comfortable over here.
So Hawaiian culture and Thai culture might even be more similar than Hawaiian culture and American culture.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I was surprised. I saw taro all over the place. When we got married over here, I was also surprised because at the head of the procession that I had to go down to, there were two people carrying sugarcane and banana, and one person with a pig's head.
Oh.
And that was for the ancestors.
Okay.
And I was like, that's what we do also in Hawaii. And the banana was for the woman, and the sugarcane was representative of the male in a sense, and that's exactly the same in Hawaii. And so it was really eye-opening for me.
And what are some things that people should keep in mind if they're marrying a Thai wife?
That's a hard one because it depends on what your cultural foundation is. For a lot of people who are very Western based, I think a lot of things would be very strange to them. But for people who are more Asian or Polynesian based, I think that it would be very simple for them to make the correlations between the cultures and work through it, because there's certain things like when you marry into a family, you marry into a family, whereas with Western culture you marry the person, not necessarily your in-laws, but over here you're married into the family. And to me that's a positive, that's a real good thing, because you automatically have family over here. For a lot of Westerners, they might be very uncomfortable with the fact that the sister-in-law, brother-in-law, or father-in-law, or mother-in-law will be always interacting with their wife, and sometimes needing things, and you need to contribute to that and all of that. And it's a little bit different in Western society, and so it depends a lot on your cultural foundation.
Yeah, and I think that's a controversial topic too, is that when sometimes your Thai family may ask like, oh, would you be able to help out with this or that? Some people, they might think is like, oh, are they trying to use me? But at the same time, you have to think about it, like if you have the funds and you can afford it, I mean, it's kind of nice to help out the person that you're married to, their parents, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's how I see it, is like, you should help out your wife's parents, right?
Oh, exactly. And what a lot of people don't realize, and I've seen a lot of YouTube presentations where they say Thailand is not the budget destination anymore. That's all subjective. It really is subjective, because when I went to ASQ, I paid about $1,000.
About 30,000 baht, right?
About there. Approximately 30,000 baht. But I had room for 2 weeks. had medical tests twice. I had food morning, noon, and night. And if I was to do that in the US, it would be way more than that.
Be like 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's very, to me, it's very subjective. To me, I find living over here a lot more within my comfort zone as far as budget is concerned, because I'm fortunate. I have a house and I have a condo that's all paid for, and a car that's all paid for. And so living expenses is only about $1,000 US a month, you know, if that. And so it depends on where you're coming from. And you know, I like to think that I'm living a better quality of life over here, because I don't need to worry about a mortgage. I don't need to worry about you know, paying the electric bill. I mean, electric bills are so affordable over here as compared to the US.
The crazy thing is the water bill. The water bill's like $3.
Yeah, exactly. The water bills are so inexpensive. But I think in our house in Sakeo, my wife's friends came over, and we have 4 AC units over there, and at least one of them was going on 24 hours. And so my wife said, oh, it's going to be real high. And real high was about $70.
Oh,
you know, US.
Yeah,
was about a little over 2,000 baht. And so it's very subjective. And so I would tell people who are saying that, oh, you know, Thailand's not a good place anymore because it's getting too expensive. Look at your lifestyle, and if you feel that you're going to have a better quality of life by paying less anywhere in the world, then do so. And you know, I feel that Thailand is very safe. Even in Bangkok, I can walk around and not worry about anything, not worry about anybody coming to mug me or anything like that. But part of it is, I have to admit, is because I don't look like a Westerner. And so, you know, a lot of people give me a pass as far as that's concerned.
You could even maybe pass for Thai if you're wearing sunglasses, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have come up to me and talked to me and thought that I was at least half Thai.
Oh.
You know, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I guess I have that common look. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
What is the minimum monthly income you think a foreigner should come with if they're trying to live here in Thailand?
I think if they're renting out a place, and it depends on them too. Again, if you're gonna go out every night, if you are that type of person that really wants to party all the time, you're gonna need a lot of money. I mean, because regardless of what anybody says, when you go out at night, you're gonna pay a little bit more than anybody else. But if you're just you go out once in a while, if you just are content to stay home, rent over here is fairly inexpensive. You can get a nice place from anywhere from $300 US to a really nice place for 1,000.
Yeah, know, like really nice.
Yeah. And so it depends on what you're comfortable with. And so I would say if you just want to do sort of the minimum, I would say about 2,500 would be more than enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal to go for. But if you were someone who is a very minimalistic lifestyle, you definitely could live on maybe 1,000.
Yeah, you could probably do 1,000, 1,500. Because, you know, like I said, for us, for two of us, we're spending about $1,000 a month for the bills, food, and everything else. But for a single person, if you take out the rent, say it's $500 for the rent, you could easily live off $1,000 a month. yeah. And go out once in a while, go eat. I mean, food over here is really inexpensive. The one thing is that Western food is much more expensive. I mean, you go to a store and try and get steaks, it's gonna set you back. But if you eat chicken a lot, or pork, or anything else, fish, then you'll be very comfortable over here. If you are a vegetarian, everything is way cheap as far as vegetables are concerned.
Yeah, seafood. If you like seafood, you're in heaven right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the last question I want to ask you is, why did you decide to buy versus renting your condo?
Part of it was because I wanted something to leave to my wife as income, and that's why I kind of bought in Bangkok. Bangkok offered a lot of access to health facilities, you know, and that was one of the major reasons why I came over here, because in the US, regardless of what kind of insurance you have to have a copay, you have to have a deductible and all of that kind of stuff. The insurance that I got over here was about a fourth what I was paying in the US without any copay or deductible, because I didn't want anybody to be stuck with a medical bill. Right now I'm healthy, but you know, I'm older, I'm 63, and so I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I didn't want anybody stuck with medical bills for me. So that place in Bangkok afforded me access to medical care. It afforded me access to shopping that isn't really the same in the country, and it also afforded me a place that is close to American consulate. So all of those things, plus Bangkok will be, in my opinion, a good investment property, because people are always going to come here, and people are always going to be doing business here, and people will always be needing a place to rent or something like that. And so if my wife decides not to come over here for any reason, that she wants to stay in the country, she could rent it out and it'd be income for her. So that's one of the reasons why I bought. And we have a house all paid for in the country. So, you know, I got the best of both worlds, having all the amenities of the city as well as the peace and quiet of the country.
Well, thank you so much, Keone, for sharing your thoughts.
No problem. And
if anyone wants to see your tattoo artwork, they can go check out your Instagram, right?
Yes, my Instagram is suluape_Keone. Suluape is my title. I was given a title in Samoa for a priestly tattooist, a chiefly tattooist. So that's my title. So it's Suluape Keone.
Okay, so if you want to check out his artwork, you can check out the link in the description below and check out his Instagram. Thank you so much, Keone.
Thank you
for meeting with me today.
Okay, have a good one.
Thank you.